Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in, and the regular season is right around the corner. Preseason is heading into this last week. It is time for me to predict the playoff picture for both the AFC and the NFC. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the AFC playoff picture, what teams make it and what teams are unfortunately left out. But before I get into my predictions, make sure you guys leave this video a like, as it always helps this channel to grow and it beats the YouTube algorithm. And if you are not subscribed and you fit into the 90 percentile that is not, make sure you click that subscribe button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post on this channel. But let's talk about the AFC. Without further ado, let's dive into it. The first division that we're going to talk about is the AFC East, and my prediction and the winner of that will be the Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm giving this away now. I think the Buffalo Bills will be the representation of the AFC in the Super Bowl. They've done a lot with this roster. They brought in a guy like Von Miller. They still have Josh Allen, who I think is going to be an MVP candidate. You have a better, improved running game. You have guys like Stephon Diggs, you have Jordan Poyer, you have Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White is coming back healthy, you have Edmonds at the linebacker position who's playing some really solid football, and I think they are a step above the New England Patriots, even though they have Mac Jones getting to his second year. I think the Patriots will be tested this season, as in, who can they be? Will they be a team that falls out? Will they be a team that continues to grow? Now, the Patriots lost J.C. Jackson, and I think that is going to hurt their defense a lot. And you go up to the Miami Dolphins. They did a lot with their roster. You have guys like Tyreek Hill brought in, Raheem Mostert, Teron Armstead at the left tackle position, Chase Edmonds. And you have Tua, who I think is the biggest question mark for the Miami Dolphins. And which is why I cannot predict them to make the playoffs just yet. It's still going to be a tell of the tape of what Tua is going to be. And I just don't think Tua is going to be at a point where this Dolphins team is making the playoffs. They can, but I don't think they will. And of course, you have the Jets that are going to finish in last. The Jets are improved, but I think they're probably a year or two away from really being competitors in that AFC East division. With the AFC East, I am going to predict the Buffalo Bills to win it. Let's go on to the AFC North. It's no surprise I'm going to pick the Cincinnati Bengals to win the AFC North. You have Cleveland. They traded for Deshaun Watson, but he's suspended for the first 11 games, so that's going to be out for them. You have Pittsburgh, who have Trubisky and Pickett at the quarterback position. They have a loaded defense with Defensive Player of the Year reigning TJ Watt, Mike Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward in the middle, Devin Bush played some really solid football last year. Najee Harris at the backfield. I don't know what their quarterback position is going to look like. They're going to be above 500 in my opinion, just based off the fact that Mike Tomlin is their head coach. We don't know what they're going to get yet. And of course, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're going to be improved more with the injuries. They had Lamar out, J.K. Dobbins out, Gus Edwards out, Marlon Humphreys out, Marcus Peters missed a year. And they get all of these guys back healthy. Even though the trade of Hollywood Brown was a little bit head scratching, I still think this Baltimore Ravens team is going to be very much improved from where they were last year. But the winner of the AFC North will be the Cincinnati Bengals. Next is the AFC South, who I think is the weakest division in this conference. And I think just by default, the Indianapolis Colts are going to win the AFC South. Matt Ryan, a veteran quarterback. You have Michael Pittman Jr. You have the running game, of course, with Jonathan Taylor, and a really solid offensive line led by Quentin Nelson. You have now Shaquille Leonard, formerly Darius, on the other side of the ball. Kenny Moore II. I'm going to pick the Colts to win it. The Jaguars, they still have a lot of growing to do. The Texans are still in rebuilding mode. And you have the Titans, who I think are going to take a step back with the trading of A.J. Brown. You do have Derrick Henry, you have Ryan Tannehill, but I'm not sure how much longer Ryan Tannehill is going to be the quarterback with the draft of Malik Willis. For this AFC South, for the point of winning it, I think by default, the Indianapolis Colts are going to be the team that comes out on top in that division. Now we move on to the most loaded division in the NFL, period, the AFC West. Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders all did things to get better. I think outside of the Chiefs with the trading of Tyreek Hill, but the Chargers, they made major roster improvements. Raiders, they made some roster improvements. The Broncos have made some roster improvements. But I think the team that is going to come out on top, and I did a video about this a while back, the Los Angeles Chargers, I believe, will be the winners of the AFC West. I believe have done a ton to improve this football team with the guys that they already have on. You add a guy like Khalil Mack. You add J.C. Jackson to your defense. You get Derwin James. You have Joey Bosa. I just believe that this defense is going to be a stout. And then Asante Samuel Jr. is starting to come into his own. Then you look offensively. Of course, Justin Herbert is rising very, very quickly into one of the best quarterbacks. Austin Eckler out of the backfield is very, very solid, both in the running game and in the passing game as well. Keenan Allen. You have Josh Palmer, who I think is going to break out. Mike Williams. You have a solid offensive line led by Corey Linsley and Rashawn Slater. This Chargers team is on the brink. I think they are on the cusp of being Super Bowl contenders this year. Kansas City, I think they're going to lose a little bit with this team with the loss of Tyreek Hill. You have Mecole Hardman, who still brings an element of speed, but I just think having Hill, Hardman, and those guys made a bigger difference in this offense. Patrick Mahomes is still going to be Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce is still going to be Travis Kelce, but I just believe on this defense, losing Tyrann Mathieu is going to hurt this team. Losing a guy like Travarius Ward is going to hurt this team. You still have Frank Clark and Chris Jones up front, but I just believe the back end of this Kansas City Chiefs defense is not necessarily the greatest. And then you move on to the team like the Las Vegas Raiders, who actually made the playoffs last year. You add Devontae Adams. You add Chandler Jones. This Raiders team is primed to win as well. Derek Carr finally gets that true number one receiver in a guy like Devontae Adams. You have Josh Jacobs who's in the contract year, and he is looking to explode and heading into this year. You have an offensive line that's a little bit of a question. You have a little bit of a question at the offensive line. Defensively, you have a little bit of a question at secondary, even though you have Jonathan Abram and Trayvon Moore at your safety spots that are really going to lock down those. And I just think that this Raiders defense probably a few pieces away from really being very solid. But when you have a pass rusher Crosby and a pass rusher Chandler Jones, that is going to help your defense a lot. And then you have the Broncos, who of course traded for Russell Wilson. They have a guy like KJ Hamler. They have Jerry Jeudy. They have Cortland Sutton. And Tim Patrick was scheduled to play a big role, but unfortunately they lost him for the year. And you also have Javonte Williams in your backfield, who really showed out in his rookie year last year. Defensively, you have Bradley Chubb. You have a guy like Justin Simmons. You have a guy like Ronald Darby who could be building blocks of your defense. This Broncos team is also going to be competitive as well. With a little bit on your defense, a little bit of time together, then you'll see the Broncos ascend. But my division winners in the AFC East, I'm going to pick the Bills. The AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals. AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts. And in AFC West, you have the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, we have three wild card teams that are going to be in. First wild card team, to me, I think will be the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think they're going to win a division, but they will be the playoff team as a wild card team. The next team I think is going to make the playoffs will be, I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to sneak in and make the playoffs in the AFC. They are going to get all their guys back. And I just think Lamar and get to a contract year, they are primed and ready for a very good season. And the last team, this might come as crazy, but I think the Raiders will return back to the playoffs. The Raiders will return back with Derek Carr getting a number one receiver. Finally, you have Hunter Renfrow as well. The playoff picture, I think the Bills will be the number one overall seed in the AFC. Then you'll be followed by, I think, the Los Angeles Chargers. Then you'll be the Cincinnati Bengals. And then it will be the Indianapolis Colts as your division winners. And the playoff picture will be the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, and as well as the Las Vegas Raiders. But that is my playoff prediction for the AFC. Make sure you guys leave this video a like. Comment your thoughts down below. Do you agree or where do you disagree? I would love to see what you guys think in the comments. And as always, click the sub button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.